Good afternoon, grade 10s. So today we're talking more and more about quadratics, so looking at applications of quadratic functions. What you'll see is a little bit of a warm-up here. What I would like you to do is take a second, pause the video, and solve the three problems you see on the screen. Remember, strategies to use. Look for the greatest common factor. Can I take a 2 out of both terms? Do I see any difference of squares? Or can I look at using my Xbox? All right, so pause the video, try all three, then when you're ready, click play for the solutions. As you go through, I look at the first one. There's no common factor for 4, 3, and -1. It is not a difference of squares, so I look at for my Xbox. What multiplies to -4 adds to +3? Okay, I know that's going to be 4 and -1. Remember, because my value out front is 4, not 1, I do want to rewrite it out. 4z squared plus 4z minus 1z minus 1 equals 0. And I look to factor by grouping. So this is a review of things we've already seen. I can take a 4z out of both terms. And here I can take a negative out, z plus 1. And the very last step would be to multiply by my factor 4z minus 1. And remember, it's asking me to solve. Solve means, what does x equal? So I set up my 2. From this, z equals -1. And I set this side of the equation equal to 0. Z equals 1/4 on that side. Moving on to the second problem. First, there's no common factor, but there is a difference of squares, so I can look at doing my 2 boxes here equals 0, 3x minus 2 plus 2. As soon as I go to solve these, I get 3x equals -2, so x equals to -2/3. On this side, I get 3x equals +2, so x is equal to 2/3. Now, there are two ways to write your answer. You could write it as I did above, or say x equals plus or minus 2/3. Both are perfectly fine. The third problem we're going to look at is a common factor first. It just makes it a little nicer. T squared plus, oh, and pardon, I can take a t out as well. T plus 4 equals 0. Don't forget the solution on the left, which is t equals 0. So a common solution to forget, but making sure that you have that, because this is a term on its own. Okay, so this is our warm-up from last class. If you're feeling a little bit uneasy, what I ask you to do is do 5 IXL problems, which is optional. So if you're feeling good about all these, then move on. If not, try the IXL. In terms of applications, so if you're thinking about application marks in math, this is where it comes from. How do these type of problems apply in real life? So the first one we're looking at is the height of a golf ball in h, so h is meters and t is in seconds, after being hit. So I'm given an initial equation. The question says, how much time does the ball, after how much time does the ball hit the ground? Okay, hit the ground is synonymous for roots, x-intercepts, factors, doesn't matter. So that's what I'm looking for. So I start with my original equation, minus 5t squared. And what I want to do with that equation is I want to factor. I can see I can take out a 5t out of both terms. I'm left with 6 minus t. And if we're talking about when something is hitting the ground, that means the height is 0. So that's where I'm going to sub in my 0. I then can solve for both sides. 5t equals 0, therefore t is 0. And 6 minus t is 0, so 6 equals t. Alright, so let's just take that and interpret it. Now the question didn't ask for a graph, but let's just look at this. This is time, and this is height. So it says, when is the height 0? Well, when time is 0, it's at a height of 0. So for me, that means here it is initially at 0. Then when time is 6 seconds, it's at 0 again. I have a negative value, a value, which means it's going down. So this is the case of the golf ball. After how much time does the ball hit the ground? Therefore, after 6 seconds, the ball hits the ground. Make sure to include your concluding statements, as those will be communication marks on any assessment. Alright, take the second example. You're going to factor it as well. I'll read it through and you're going to try it on your own. So the height, h meters above the ground, a cannonball, after being fired, is given by this equation. So here's the height of the cannonball after t seconds. How much time does it take the cannonball to hit the ground? Hit pause on the video. Try this problem on your own. Okay, hopefully you paused it. I can't really control if you do or not, but take your original equation, negative 5t squared plus 15t plus 140. And again, when it hits the ground, I'm looking for the roots, which means I need to factor. Looking for a common factor first, I see that I can take out a negative 5 out of all of my terms. So this is what my equation looks like. It becomes t squared minus 3t minus 28. Okay, not so bad. Now keep that term out front, and I'm going to use my Xbox method to factor this. 1 multiplies to negative 28 adds to negative 3, negative 7, positive 4. And I can write these terms as my t minus 7 and t plus 4. Remember, when it hits the ground, it means that my height is 0. And then I go to factor. T minus 7 equals 0. T plus 4 equals 0. I move both numbers over and I get my two functions. Positive 7, negative 4. Now this is something really important. One of these values is negative. I know that time has to be greater than 0, right? I can't have negative time. So if I were to just draw this out, it says that one of my roots is at negative 4, and one is over here at positive 7. Okay, I know that it's negative, right? Concave down. Okay. That's what my function looks like. Now this portion here, where I just put this green dot, that green dot is the initial height. So it means that the cannonball was maybe shot off a roof or something like that. How long, how much time does the cannonball, or after how much time does it hit the ground? Well, it starts at 0 and goes to positive 7. So therefore, the ball hits the ground at 7 seconds. So just being able to decipher what the problem would mean. We'll go on to later asking questions, what's the initial height? So this is a good strategy, just drawing a little picture. Okay. Now there is a video link. You'll see this on Moodle. I'll put it in the grid just so you can see it a little bit easier tomorrow since I'm not there. Watch the video. 2 things that you like, don't like about it. Once you are done that, so this should take you about 5 minutes. Okay. You can watch with a friend, however you want. Then you can come back to me and listen to 3 more problems. Okay? Alright, so part 2, the more difficult kind of word problems. Here we're looking at a question that says 2 squares whose side lengths are consecutive odd integers have a total area of 650 centimeters squared. What is their total perimeter? Now I'm going to start off here by noting a few things. The first thing I want to do is say let x represent the width of the smaller box. Okay, so I'm going to say that this here is going to be my smaller box. And we're going to say, let's call that x by x. It has to be a square. The second thing I'm going to say is I know that I have boxes whose side lengths are consecutive odd integers. Think of going from the number 3 to the number 5. Both odd, I add 2. From 5 to 7, add 2. So I'm going to call this larger square, has a side length of x plus 2, x plus 2. Now it gives me information about the total area. It says in total is 650. Well, if I look just at the smaller square, the area is going to be x times x, length times width, which is x squared. The length of the larger box will be x plus 2 times x plus 2. And here you're always going to want to expand, which is why we write it as x squared plus 4x plus 4. I have my two areas, and I understand that the total area will be the sum of both. So I now have x squared plus 4x plus 4, and combine those two. Now here's where you use the problem. It says the total area is 650. So we set this equal to 650. And we're going to move it over, meaning subtract 650 from both sides to get all of my terms on the same side. And when I do that, I get negative 646. Okay. Now these problems are a little not as nice, because if I look to do my x box, I say, well, multiplies to, remember, it's 2 times 646. Now one thing I can do to make my life a little bit easier is I just realized that all of these terms are factorable by 2, which is kind of nice. It just makes my x box nicer. Negative 323 adds to negative 7. Mull over this a while. I won't give you numbers that are this bad, but 19 and negative 17. And I can go right into my factors. X minus 17. Remember, I'm setting it equal to 0 and I'm solving. X plus 19 equals 0. X is negative 19 and x is positive 17. Alright, now it has to be consecutive odd integers. Why does only one of these values work? X has to be greater, remember, than 0. It's a side length. This value doesn't make sense. X must be greater than 0. Okay, so I'm using 17. Now remember, this question's not done. That's why it's a difficult question. What is their total perimeter? So the final question. The total perimeter. Last step. Perimeter. So the perimeter will be x. Well, let's say. I'm going to say it's 4 times x. Think about each side. There's 4 sides, so x plus x plus x plus x is 4x. Plus 4, this is x plus 2. Now what do we say x was? It has to be 17. So this is 17 plus 4, 17 plus 2, which is 19. Now it's just a coincidence that that value is the same as the negative, and I get 144. Therefore, 144 centimeters. Okay. So this will be the most difficult question kind of on a test, just because there are 2 parts. To make it a little simpler on a test, I would take the pink part away and just ask for the dimensions of the smaller box. Okay, so the pink makes it definitely more difficult. Now here's a problem. I generally like these kind of problems when we're talking about a picture. Okay, a height of a picture is 4/3 of its width. Okay, so if I take a picture, remember, it doesn't matter what the picture is of. Okay, but we're going to say that the height is 4/3, so it's bigger than the width. Okay, so that's x, and as soon as I do that, let x represent the width of centimeters because it kind of tells me here. It says the picture has an overall area. Well, now I'm looking length times width, x times 4/3 x. And this becomes 4/3 x squared. And it wants the picture to have this area, 192. So subtracting from the other side here, 192 x. Actually, let's just go back. Instead of doing that, there's a better method to solve this. Notice I have a constant and a constant here. So I'm going to take 192 and divide it by 4/3, or really multiply by 3, divide by 4, however you want to look at that. So I get 144 is equal to x squared. And I know that anytime I want to square root, get rid of a square term, I can square root. Plus or minus 144, so x is plus or minus 12. Okay, x, again, must be greater than or equal to 0 since it is a length. So I now have that x is positive 12. And again, it wants the dimensions of the enlarged picture. So this is now 12 by 4/3 times 12, which is 16. So therefore, the dimensions are 12 centimeters by 16 centimeters. Woo! And then you can draw, I don't know, something pretty in your picture, like a, I don't know, a kitty cat or something. Okay. Alright, moving on to the next problem. The very last one. Yay! You have a hypotenuse of a right triangle. Okay, so first off, I'm going to draw a triangle. The hypotenuse, remember, is the longest length, and it says that it is 2 centimeters longer than the shortest side. So it doesn't matter which side you pick to be the shortest, whether it's the downward leg or the upward leg. I'm going to say it's this one. So let x represent the shortest side length. And it says it is 2 centimeters larger. And I'm going to write it as x plus 2 instead of 2 plus x. 2 centimeters larger than x. The third side is 4 centimeters long. So it tells us this in total. So that's 4 centimeters. What are the lengths of the 3 sides of the triangle? Well, I know the only thing to relate a right triangle is Pythag. So x squared plus 4 squared is x plus 2 all squared. This side's not bad because I'm going to simplify, but the right-hand side, again, you want to expand. It's the same as having x plus 2 times x plus 2. Just recall, this should be kind of second nature to us now, that I will be foiling this out. X squared plus 4x plus 4. And you always have to move all your terms to one side. Okay. When I do that, I'm going to have x squared minus x squared plus 4x plus 4 minus 16. So I've just written this out just so you can see these cancel. Don't be alarmed, that's fine. 4x minus 12. So say 12 equals 4x, and x is therefore 3. So what are the side lengths? The triangle is 3 by 4 and 5. So now that we're done that, take a peek. You can be working in pairs, doesn't matter if you're flying solo today, that's fine. But we're going to be working on this worksheet. If you have any questions, let me know. I've also posted solutions for that worksheet up on Moodle. Okay, so everyone is going to Moodle for that. And I hope you have a great day. Thank you.